You scroll past a photo of someone's promotion, someone you went to school with, someone you haven't thought about in years, and for a second, just a second, something tightens in your chest. You close the app. You tell yourself you're fine, but the feeling stays. That discomfort has a name, and it is not jealousy, exactly. It is not insecurity, exactly. It is something older than language, something your brain was designed to do long before social media, long before cities, long before the concept of a career even existed. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, and that is the problem. In 1954, a psychologist named Leon Festinger published a theory that would quietly explain one of the most exhausting experiences of modern life. He called it social comparison theory. The idea was simple. Human beings have a deep, automatic drive to evaluate themselves, their abilities, their status, their worth, by measuring against others, not against some abstract ideal, against real visible people in their immediate environment. Festinger did not frame this as a flaw. He framed it as a cognitive tool, a way of knowing where you stand without needing a rulebook or a referee. For hundreds of thousands of years, this tool worked. Your ancestors lived in small bands of 30 to 150 people. Everyone knew everyone. Status was visible. Who had more food? Who was stronger? Who had more allies? Knowing your position in that group was not vanity. It was survival. If you overestimated your rank, you might challenge someone you couldn't beat. If you underestimated it, you might defer when you could have led. Getting it wrong could mean being exiled, starved, or killed. Your brain's comparison engine was a precision instrument built for a very specific world. That world no longer exists, but the instrument is still running. Psychologist Alex Jordan at Stanford ran a study in 2011 that revealed something quietly devastating. Participants consistently overestimated how happy and how successful other people were. They assumed others experienced more positive emotions, fewer struggles, and more triumphant moments than they actually did. Jordan called this the illusion of others' lives. You are not comparing yourself to the real person, you are comparing yourself to a curated projection, and your brain cannot tell the difference. This is where the machinery starts to grind against you. The original comparison system was built for full-spectrum information. You saw the person who had more food, but you also saw them get sick. You saw the stronger hunter, but you also saw him fail. The data was complete. Now the data is not complete. Now you see the highlight, the announcement, the vacation photo, the milestone, and your ancient system, still running, still taking notes, files it all as evidence of where you stand. Researcher Sonia Lyubomirsky at the University of California, Riverside spent years studying why some people are chronically unhappy and others are not. What she found was not what most people expected. It was not circumstance. It was not income. It was not even health. One of the strongest predictors of chronic unhappiness was the habitual tendency to compare. People who oriented their sense of self around social comparison, who reflexively asked not, "Am I okay?" but "Am I okay compared to them?" reported lower life satisfaction across almost every measure, regardless of how objectively well their lives were going. Think about what that means. Your life could be, by almost any external measure, going well, and the comparison engine could still be making you miserable, because it was never designed to generate contentment. It was designed to generate vigilance. It was designed to keep you scanning, keep you alert, keep you just uncomfortable enough to keep moving. Contentment, from an evolutionary standpoint, is dangerous. A content ancestor stopped striving, stopped competing, stopped watching, and sometimes got left behind. So your brain keeps the engine warm, it keeps scanning, it keeps scoring. And in a world where the feed never ends, the engine never gets to rest. But here is the counterintuitive part. The comparison drive is not purely destructive. Festinger identified two directions it can run. Upward comparison, measuring yourself against people doing better, creates motivation when it is held lightly, and despair when it is held tightly. Downward comparison, measuring yourself against people doing worse, creates temporary relief, but research shows it erodes empathy and, over time, makes you feel worse about yourself, not better. The drive itself is neutral. It is the volume and the context that poison it. And here is the thing. You cannot turn it off. You were not built with an off switch. What you can do, what the research consistently points to, is interrupt the automatic reading of the data. Notice the moment the score appears in your mind. Notice that you are comparing rather than just experiencing the comparison as fact. That gap, that small moment of noticing, is the only place the ancient engine can be redirected. Tonight, you will scroll past something, someone's news, someone's life, compressed into a single frame, and something will tighten. That tightening is not a flaw. It is a system older than agriculture, older than written language, older than almost everything you know. Still doing its job in a world it was never built for. The question is not how to stop it. The question is whether you will believe the score it gives you.